I ran for governor back in 2014. I traveled all over this state. I met thousands of wonderful people, and their concerns were pretty much the same that they are now. Poor roads, mediocre to poor schooling, high cost of health care, lack of affordable housing, abuse by police, and rules and regulations that stood in the way every time they tried to improve their lives. 8 years later, billions of tax dollars spent, more rules and regulations. Has anything improved? That is why I'm running, because the Democrats and Republicans have disappointed us.
Give us an idea, a synopsis of the Libertarian Party. I mean, a lot of people just know of it as third place finisher in almost every race. So, I mean, what is the difference and why does it stand out from the two major parties?
Because we believe that people should be free to choose how to live their lives without a lot of interference, just as long as they don't interfere with others the way they want to choose their lives. It's pretty simple, actually.
Mm-hmm. So how would that manifest itself in government? I mean, what would be paid for? How would things be covered? What kind of tax structure would we see?
Libertarians believe that government's only role in your life should be to protect your life, your liberty, and your property. That's it.
So how do we cover everything else then? I mean, how do you have roads paid for? How do you have things like that?
Roads are important, but you know, to a libertarian, and this has always been a strange idea for libertarians, but privatizing. In other words, Americans love to drive, and they love the freedom to drive. And it's always been part of our history. We've had toll roads in Michigan for I don't know how long, before the interstate, highway, everything. So, yeah, there could be a combination of some. But we spend taxpayer money on a lot more than just roads. Money that we get for roads has to go to, you know, gold-plated bike paths and extra stuff, yeah.
On its face, I mean, just by the letter of the platform, I mean, that sounds a lot like what conservatives or Republicans should stand on: limited government and personal freedom. Where does that road diverge, I guess?
Because they don't. They spend more money, they pass more laws, they control also. Republicans do transfer over to the Libertarian Party. I came from the other side. I was a Democrat for a long time. But no, Republicans don't keep their promises either.
So, right now there's, I mean, well, for a long time, for almost American history, there's been the two-party system that has controlled everything. Do you see more people being disenfranchised that are looking for something else? And are you seeing people, you said you used to be a former Democrat, but a lot of Republicans have switched over also. We used to have Justin Mosh around Grand Rapids that has switched over and made headlines. I mean, do you see more people taking that as a serious option? And then off of that, why not more people do it?
I see a lot of people doing it, you know, interested in it, and only probably because the two parties with the polarization, a lot of people think that, you know, they're moving farther apart, but they're more alike than you know. They're both want to control. It's money, it's control, and people are tired of that. Now, whether or not it manifests votes, I just spent, you know, a week at the Allegan County Fair, and I talked to a lot of people there too. A lot of people didn't know what a libertarian was. And when I explained it to them, they said, whoa, that sounds pretty good. Now, whether that's going to manifest into votes, I'm not sure. But more people are looking at other options. And the only way the two parties will ever get better is through competition. And I'm your competition.
All right. Off of that, I was going to ask also, we always hear this, we need a third party. There needs to be some competition. There needs to be something to break up this model.
Mm-hmm.
But repeatedly, libertarians end up in single digits. I mean, one, running as governor with such a wind against you, I mean, how do you push through that? And then do you ever see a time where there is a true three-party system?
There will be. I believe that there will be. The problem is the way we vote now. Now, I'm right now with a two-party first-past-the-post system. It's never going to work. We do need more voices in government, and not just libertarians, Greens, taxpayer party, working class. We all need voices in government. But until we change the way we vote, and I am an advocate of ranked choice voting, where you rank your candidates instead of just choosing one of the above.
Yeah, I've done stories on ranked choice, and it's definitely interesting to me, and I don't see what
It would allow for more choices, more votes, and I would stop getting this wasted vote syndrome. That's I heard that a lot too. A vote for me is a vote for Tudor Dixon. A vote for me is a vote for Gretchen Whitmer. No, a vote for me is a vote for me. If you are holding your nose at the poll, if you are trying to choose between the lesser of two evils, that to me is a wasted vote. So don't do it.
That was going to be my next question. Is a lot of people just sit there and say, well, I like this, but I also don't want Whitmer to win or don't want Dixon to win, so I need to vote this way because I'm just off on my own. You kind of touched on it, but I guess what's your pushback against that, where people are, maybe they're a Republican that's disenfranchised right now, but they still want Republican values in there or something like that?
Well, we do have some Republican values, but the problem is the Republicans don't have complete Republican values. Say you like some things about the Republican Party, but guess what? You get all the other junk that you don't want either. So I get it. I think that's not being an informed voter. That's not being, you choose, when you vote, you want the best person possible. Not just, it's not the other person. That's not being an informed voter at all.
And now you've run for different offices within
Yes.
the Libertarian Party over the years. I mean, 8 years ago you ran for governor. Have you been seeing more and more interest? Has it been legitimate? Have you been seeing people switch over, or are you people just wondering, curious what it is, and then deciding still not to manifest those votes?
No, as a matter of fact, no. Our numbers are growing and our vote numbers are growing. We haven't broken, major things, but yes, we are becoming more competitive to the other parties. And that's and that's another thing too, they're going to try to shut us out. But if the people say, hey, I like this idea, and start voting, and vote against the status quo, because the status quo has disappointed them so long, sure, our vote numbers will increase, and they have increased.
What would a libertarian, if you did make it in, what would the state budget look like? I mean, what would a Michigan run, where you're not going to have libertarian control in the legislature or anything like that, but would you just be seeing it as a step in the movement, like that this is the win that gets us there, we can start pushing these values, or what major changes would people see?
Well, for one thing, they'd have a lot more money in their pocket. And plus, they'd have a lot more choice as far as how to educate their children, how to choose their health care, how to live their lives. So, yes, that would be a legacy of freedom. That would be a legacy I would like to have.
What would be a good example maybe for people that want a real life example of this kind of government working? Like, is there a state that has gotten close? Is there a country that has gotten close where they could, someone, because everyone always wants to see, well, like, look how France is doing, or look how so-and-so, to get their ideas, but for whatever they want to push. But I guess, is there an example that where Michiganders could look at it and say, okay, this could work?
Well, as far as education goes, there's a lot of other states that are really opening up choice. Arizona, right now they have an education savings allowance or account, which allows families to take 90% of their foundation allowance and put it in an account, use it for what they want, and guess what? It rolls over. So you can use that money not only for K through 12, but you can use it beyond that. Very freeing.
I just forgot where I was going. I had another question.
That happens to me. I'm sorry. That
Yeah,
happens
no,
to me.
no, no,
That happens to me too.
I
But
just wanna
I'm
make
I'm just old. Okay.
Okay, this is what I was going to say this for later, but I'll use it now. Look, you sitting kind of not on the sidelines, but as a third party, and we've been seeing, especially during this campaign season, the chaos going on in the Republican Party and whatnot. Do you see that as an open door opportunity? Because there is a fracture in that party, and they are kind of people looking for that grassroots kind of personal freedom aspect. Do you kind of see that as a personal recruiting ground, or, I mean, does that help you show how broken the system is? Like, how do you foresee, when you're sitting here seeing even Democrats, there's a lot that don't like Governor Whitmer and what she's done. So, I mean, when you see this fracture in the major parties, do you guys see this as an opportunity to get your message across?
Everything's an opportunity to promote choice and freedom for people. And politics is about conflict, always has been. Hundreds of years it's been about conflict. But no, yeah, I see this as an opportunity for us.
Now, and I've asked this of Garrett Soldano and Ryan Kelly when they were running. They want to, they're against the establishment government. They want to come in and shake things up, personal freedom, everything. But if they won the election, they would be the establishment. They would be the ones in charge with all the power. How would people be confident that it wouldn't just be more of the same? Every politician, they say what they want to get elected, and then once they get in there, they sometimes are handcuffed, or they have to go with the establishment, or because that's where the money and the power is. I mean, how do you not get tainted if you were to win?
Well, the Libertarian Party, we are called the party of principle, and we do have principles, and we do have promises, and we do keep them. Yes, the power and the money. We are not about the money, and we are not about the power. We are about freedom. We are about liberty for people, not power to ourselves. We have, like I said, we are principled, and we tend to hold them.
And then also, when it comes to the Libertarian Party, I mean, every party has its extreme wings. But I mean, I know just Republicans and Democrats are going to point and try to point out flaws, and some people might just think Libertarians are just anarchists that want no government. How do you push back and push through that stigma that might be there, where they're just always going to point to the worst of the worst and miss the main part of the party?
You know, I get this a lot. You know, people get this impression that a libertarian society is probably some dystopian hellscape with drug-fueled killings going on everywhere. But no libertarian would want a society like that. We do believe in the rule of law, and we do believe that government's role is to protect your life, your liberty, and your property.
So, okay, I want to just run through some different platforms then. It sounds like education, is it some sort of a voucher system that you would like, that the money follows the student? Well, how would education be handled?
Well, unfortunately, our state laws and regulation, our state laws are very strict. There is no voucher in Michigan, and there probably won't be a voucher until either our Blaine Amendment gets either struck down by the Supreme Court or there's another vote, a referendum vote. So there is one possibility that may pass constitutional muster. And I am so flattered that Betsy DeVos picked up on this, that I floated 8 years ago. It's called an Opportunity Scholarship. It's private money in a nonprofit, which would supply parents who choose to take their child out of a government school. It would help them with homeschool. It would help them afford a private school. It would help them even hire a tutor if they remain in their government school, or transportation if they need to go to another school district or whatever. Everybody who donates to this, they get a tax break from it, up to, I think, $500 million, something like that. Yeah, 500 million. And to me, that's a great idea. And I had it 8 years ago because I took it from other states who are doing this now.
So instead of it coming out of someone's taxes, they just have the ability to donate it.
They would donate it. It would be a tax deduction just like when you donate to your church or you donate to any other charity.
So that when you hear people say, like, I don't have kids in the school, I'm 50 years old, I just want to live in this community, you don't have to participate if you don't want to.
No, it's totally voluntary. But people in Michigan are extremely charitable. Mm. If the cause is there, they will donate.
And then public safety. You say libertarians believe in government's there to protect. Would the funding be similar to what we're seeing now?
Defunding? Well, no. Police are important to protect your life, but also too, we believe a lot in self-defense. It's a right and it's a responsibility. But no, there would still be.
I said defunding, not defunding. I just
okay.
Would the funding be about the same we're seeing now? I mean, would we see major changes to that?
Probably not. Right now, no.
And then roads, you had said, and infrastructure would be, we would privatize it? How would?
We could privatize some of them, sure. Mm-hmm. It would work. Like I said, Michigan, people love their cars and they love to drive. So, yeah.
And then I'm guessing you would be for repealing the income tax, the one thing that a couple of Republicans.
Libertarians believe income tax, or any tax. Tax is theft, all right? But for right now, what I believe is a promise made is a promise kept. There was a bipartisan promise 15 years ago after Governor Granholm hiked the tax that it would go down, and it hasn't. Keep your promise, lower it to 3.9%, where it was 15 years ago. And eventually, sure, once government gets smaller and better, you might not need, zero income tax.
So over time, a slow repeal once everything run more efficiently.
It could be sooner than later.
What's a campaign as a third party candidate look like? I mean, obviously we talked about the events that Dixon and Whitmer are having and all the primary candidates had. Mm-hmm. What has it been like as a third party candidate? What is the last few months and the next 2 months going to look like?
One thing, I do live in my car. I do a lot of driving. I'm not about the money. I get some donations and I contribute a lot to my campaign. But I don't need a $24 million war chest to campaign, to flood your mailbox or spam it with flyers, and I don't need a lot of expensive TV ads. There's a lot you can do, with social media and online that's not expensive at all. So as a governor, I think I'd be a real bargain.
And then since you're not going to be able to get on a debate stage with the two,
Oh, no.
I'll let you tell me why you over the other two main choices.
Like I said, libertarians, we are not about the money, and we are not about control. We are about freedom and giving people choices to live their lives the way they choose. I don't want to control your life like they do. I want to leave a legacy of freedom and choice and liberty, which I prize above everything for you, for me, for children, their grandchildren. That's a legacy that I want to leave.
And then finally, on election night, November 8th, what is going to be a positive outcome for you? What number do you want to hit where you can see that the libertarian movement is making some ground in this fractured times?
Well, it's funny. I don't really know. I would like to get something more than maybe, I would like to get 5% instead of 1% or 2%. I'd like to at least double what I did in 2014. That would be great.
And now, isn't there some sort of like an actual percentage where like funding changes and such? I want to say like 4 years ago when I did this story with Gillino, there was something, or maybe it was something else, but they said like if a party gets to 5 or 10%, it unlocks like the ability to fundraise more.
Yes, that would. No libertarian wants taxpayer money to help run.
And he said, and he had said like it wouldn't be something, but it might be the only chance or whatnot.
When Gary Johnson got above 5% in Michigan in 2016, it made the Libertarian Party a major party. We were finally invited to the table instead of being in the kiddie table at Thanksgiving. All right. And I believe a 5% would make the Libertarians a major party again, where we would have to primary, where we could get out more, where we could get more recognition.
Okay.
That would be a great thing.
That would be, so like a big step would be like the primate, you would have
Right.
to do that, and it would be more of the official
Like
process.
we did back in 2018. That was something. That was really something.
So we'll say 5% is what you're aiming at.
All right,
All
sure.
right.
Why not? I'd like to win it, but
Of course, yes.
you don't. You play the game to win.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say to people that say you have no chance? Why are you even wasting time, money, and effort when, like, there's no chance?
First of all, I'm not wasting my time. I'm reaching a lot of people. And there are other libertarians running in this election. We have top of ticket. So if you're not comfortable with a libertarian governor, maybe you're more comfortable voting for maybe a libertarian Secretary of State. Or we also have a candidate for Supreme Court, or for the State Board of Education, or the governing boards of the major universities. If you're not comfortable voting for a governor candidate, vote for one of those. Or we also have other libertarians running as, representatives and senators. Mm-hmm. And we have a libertarian running for mayor. We have, so there are more libertarians on the ticket.
All right.